is on strike. Yesterday, they couldn't attend upon the National Labour Commission, and it is because they are asking for some monies that were negotiated in 2022 to have taken effect in 2023. They say 18 months down the line, they do not have their monies. Daniel, welcome. Good morning. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, Johnny. How are you? How are you too?
I am greater than Accra, Chief.
Good.
Has the story changed?
The story hasn't changed as I speak to you currently. So, GLOGSAG is still on strike because they've not gotten any firm commitment from the side of government with regards to the implementation of a new salary structure which they agreed on 2 years ago. So let's say that the National Labour Commission, unfortunately, GLOGSAG couldn't turn up because the argument is that the National Labour Commission is not properly constituted. For that reason, they will not appear before. But my understanding is that the NLC officially write to them. So the story is still the same. GLOGSAG is still on strike.
When we say GLOGSAG is on strike, what does it mean? How widespread is it? Who are involved? Tell me.
Right. So nationwide, the GLOGSAG members are those who work in the local and the civil services. So when we go to the ministries and also the regional coordinating councils across the country, they are those who work. When we look at the entire population, there are in excess of 60,000 nationwide. So we have 60,000 members who are currently on strike. Then clearly, government business is going to be affected because they are the sole implementers of government business. So when we go to the Ministry of Finance, the Ministry of Trade, and the key government agencies, they are those who occupy those places. For instance, the Registrar General and also the Birth and Death Registry. The members of GLOGSAG are those who occupy those offices. So obviously, when they are on strike, government business clearly is going to be affected, or it's been affected now. Yesterday, those who visited the Registrar General had to be turned away because obviously they could not access services. So that's a problem now. And the leadership of GLOGSAG unfortunately have put their phones off. The strike is on.
They have put their phones off.
Yes, they have actually, because you would have expected that when you go on strike, you have the national security officer or national security minister calling them to the meeting. Also have the Minister of Employment and Labor Relations also call them to a meeting. But this time around, their phones are off, so it means that you are not going to get anybody. So you could have a concrete meeting, a fruitful meeting with the leadership. But possibly by close of day, by midday today, should be able to put their phones on. But now their phones are off. We are unable to get anybody. If we don't take care, the strike is going to span to next week, and that will be a period of 1 week. And look at the productivity that will be lost. Look at the chunk of money government will be losing within this short period.
I know that the Labour Ministry is equally worried, but shouldn't the NLC at this point, and I've spoken to some of the Labour operatives, they say that the National Labour Commission should actually be asking government to specifically perform and not be asking them to come for a meeting.
Exactly. That has been the position of Labour whenever they appear before the National Labour Commission. In the case of GLOGSAG, yesterday the Deputy Minister of Employment and Labour Relations, Dr. Festus Otiwa, was present. We also have the lead government negotiator, that's Mr. Iglesias, Engineer Ben Atta. Ben Atta is the CEO of Professional Salaries Commission. Then you also have the technical advisor to the Minister of Employment and Labour Relations, that's Mr. Bright Rekubo. All of them were in the meeting. They were disappointed. They are worried that GLOGSAG could not make up. So what the listeners to they believe that the National Labour Commission's directive should go to government for government to implement exactly what they have agreed, the new salary structure. But obviously, at the end of when you're on strike, it will first ask you to call off the strike, which the leadership of GLOGSAG is not ready to do, because they believe that the directive should have gone to government for government to implement that. So when they are able to call off the strike, then obviously they have to go and sit and really look at the payment schedule and see how those concerns of GLOGSAG can be currently addressed.
Now, in the meantime, for those who are stranded at the various offices trying to access services, what are their options?
The option is that they may have to go home, because, for instance, you go to the Registrar General's department and you want to register your company or want to do any proper registration, either want to have something fruitful done. Obviously, you cannot do it. And after yesterday, the offices were closed, and the main entrance, which has a very big door or a very big entrance, also was closed, and they had various red bands all over the place. Means that those who went there were asked to go. Birth and Death Registry, they were asked to go. Those who visited the correctional secretariat, you could not access services. Then, meaning that there was nothing can be done. And if the strike to prolong, Johnny, so if the strike to prolong to the third week, we are not likely to see members being paid, because the civil servants are those who work on government payroll at the Controller and Accountant General. So if Cluster decides not to call off, and the strike should continue for about 3 weeks from 15th, because the first batch of payments are usually done between 15th of the following month. So in the case of July 15th, you get the first batch of payment being made. Then the 25th, the second batch of payment being made. Within these 2 days, 15th and 25th, they are unable to resolve the problem. Then people are not going to be paid. And that really, really is going to be a problem and a major headache and a big blow to government.
This is a big blow indeed. I know that undertones of this strike is also for SNIT to rescind this decision on letting off some 4 of his hotels by way of the shares they have in there. Confirm that for me. Is that the case?
Right. Also, on Tuesday, the leadership of Forum, when you look at the entire organized labor as a body, you have those who belong to the TUC block, that is the State Union block. The TUC has about 22 union affiliates. So you have the Public Service Workers Union, the GPRT, they belong to the TUC block. Now, when you look at the Forum block, they have public sector institutions within the various government agencies. You have GLOGSAG, you have the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association, you have the Ghana Medical Association, you have NAS, you have NAGA, Coalition Consent Seekers. All these people belong to the Forum block. Then you have the Third Labor Center, or the Ghana Federation of Labor, which is led by Mr. Compson. So you have 3 labor centers. And the organized labor block, when they visited the president last week to discuss the sale agreement, the direction of the president was that they should go back with SNIT and sit and really look at the agreement. And that did not sit down well with some of the labor unions. So currently, the Forum block has organized its own press conference, and what they are saying that government should terminate the appointment, should terminate the sale of the agreement. So whether the president calls them to a meeting or whether they are asked to relook at the agreement, they believe that government should terminate the sale agreement. For them, that is their position. But in terms of organized labor as a body, which is sometimes being headed by the TUC, they are yet to take a decision. But the Forum body is saying that government should terminate the sale agreement.
And the phones remain off. Daniel Opoku, so, the phones are off. Mr. Bampo has put his phone off.
Yes, Mr. Bampo has put his phone off, and he's been doing that since yesterday. You know, when he declared the strike 3 days ago, and he would have expected to get the leadership to speak to. Yesterday in the morning, his phone was off. Midday, his phone was off, and I was able to reach him through his PRO. But PRO this morning, his phone is off, and the leadership, their phones are off. And when you look at their structure, is the executive secretary who speaks, and anybody who speaks apart from the executive secretary must be delegated or must have an express mandate from the executive secretary before any talking can be done. So if the leadership, their phones are off, then obviously you really, really have a problem. You really have. But Johnny, there's another striking issue too, which is currently raging on.
Right.
That's the CITAC strike.
Right.
You know CITAC is still on strike.
That's right. That's
and
correct.
They have not called off.
Colleges of Education.
The NLC declined hearing. And now they are believing that until the NLC is able to force government to implement the arbitrary awards, they are not calling us. So CITAC is still on strike, and the various colleges across the country, students have been left in limbo.
Wow. So
the industrial front, it doesn't look too good on the industrial front. CITAC on strike, and also CLOGSAG on strike. These are clearly public sector. And after the close of yesterday, another indication that I am taking is that UTAG is likely to also begin strike from next week. Why? Because there are conditions of service after they had concluded negotiations. The sole implementer of the conditions of service has to be the GTEC, and GTEC has varied portions of the agreement, which without recourse to the leadership of UTAG. So as of yesterday, there was the National Labour Commission to officially submit a petition that don't take it from next week. They are also going to withdraw their services.
But the good thing is that UTAG and CITAG have their phones on.
Yes, that's the most interesting part, because in the case of UTAG, for them, their phones are on. So when you call the leaders, you are likely to get them. In the case of UTAG, the same thing. But once they have not began their strike, you cannot conclude that whether their phones will be off or on. But usually with these two entities, you have their phones going through. But in the case of GLOGSAG, their phones are off.
Why is Mr. Bampo doing this? Thank you, Daniel Opoku. I'm grateful.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome.
I just come out my eye because I see many past this one.
I give government like that.
Oh.
How do you go on strike and put your phone off?
Do you know there's an Asaka song with a line, I don't talk much, I just show action. John, do you know that song? I don't talk much.
I don't talk much.
I just show action. It's an Asaka song. It's my request for the day.
But how do you go on strike and put your phone off? How would government reach out to you?
How do you have an agreement with me August 2023 to change my salary from January 1? You have an agreement with me August 2022 that effective from January 1, 2023, you pay me this amount of money. It has traveled 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, a full year, a year and a half. What else do you want to discuss with me?
Okay. Abdul Momin Issa is joining us on the phone line. He is the Municipal Chief Executive for the Secondary Takrady Municipality. Chairman, good morning.
Good morning.
What's then?
Yamanadum.
Na any da basan bay.
Okay, what the can mami cheche we say for you na mo to dey bi no so mama ya correction kakra de secondary takrady on your municipal. Or your metropolis.
Metropolis. Okay.
So it's secondary takrady metropolitan assembly.
Mbocho Mati, full mayor.
Yes, sir.
Now, yesterday you went to work. What happened?
Yeah, yesterday when I came to work, because GLOGSAG had declared strike, I came and my office was locked. Apparently, I believe it wasn't the fault of my secretary, though, but it rained heavily yesterday. At dawn till late in the afternoon. So I believe that also contributed to my office people not coming to open the doors for me. But eventually, I had them to come and open. And they came to open, and we worked.
So yesterday you worked?
Yes.
I see. But there's a strike ongoing. Are you not aware?
I am aware.
So you are not part of the strike?
No, I'm not part of the strike. I'm not a member of GLOGSAG. I'm a member of NALAG, but not GLOGSAG.
Right. So now, the people who work under you, largely, say they are going on strike because they have not been giving their salaries as has been agreed for 18 months. You don't want to solidarize with them?
Oh, for them, I do not begrudge them, and I don't have anything against them. If that is what they want to do, I mean, it's their right. But for me, my office should be open for me to be able to work.
So it is not the case that the Labor Front came to lock you out of your office, but it was your secretary that was caught up in the rain, and that's it. Is that the explanation I get from you?
That is the situation, because it wasn't the Labor Force that came to lock my office, but because my secretary was locked up in the rain, that is why she couldn't come to open the door for me. I don't keep my office keys myself. It is my secretary and my cleaner and the estate officer that keeps my keys.
I see. Now, this strike, if care is not taken, could linger on for a very, very long time. We're now learning from our labor correspondent, Daniel Opoku, that the leadership of GLOGSAG have put their phones off, and NLC is not able to reach them to have that meeting. How does that sound to you?
Oh, but for me, if the leadership of GLOGSAG have they've all switched their phones off to avoid being reached to have a discussion, then they are not being fair to the government. They are not being fair to the government. Right? We can't all meet our expectations when it comes to remuneration. We also have challenges, but we still have to work.
This morning, if I walk to your assembly, will I get the services that typically would be available if GLOGSAG had not gone on strike?
That I can say no, because today is Thursday. People are here to register their marriages and all that. But the civil servants who are supposed to render these services are not available.
So work has stalled.
Definitely.
But you are working, so why don't you do it, or you can't do it?
Well, I have some of my staff who are IGF staff, and IGF staff, they are not affected by this strike. So they are the very people I'm working with.
I see. Now, I'm interested in the marriage bit because people have planned their marriage. They may have bought refreshments and etc. to come and register their marriage with you. You have given them the date ahead. They come today, it's not working. If, for example, they have to wait for a full month, if a Touchwood, the strike prolongs that much, what would be your plan B?
Well, there's nothing I can do about this situation. There's nothing I can do.
Even to impress upon the government to pay them the money?
To them, it's unavailable. What else can I do?
Even
the civil servants are not working. So there's nothing I can do personally to assuage their problems.
Even to impress upon government to pay the people their monies?
Oh, for me, I believe the leadership of GLOGSAG should be...
92.7.
The leadership of GLOGSAG should be... should avail themselves for discussion. You know...
You mean they should turn on their phones?
Go to the table to negotiate with government, and then government will find a solution to the problem.
You mean they should turn on their phones?
Definitely, but if you have switched off your phone, how can government reach you? Or how can the labor minister or whoever reach you?
But they said they waited for 18 months for you to actualize the decisions that you both agreed, and you didn't.
Master, you see, the thing is,
3FM,
though it has kept long, but the fact of the matter is, probably leadership of GLOGSAG are not being truthful to their people.
How do you mean?
Because from what I'm gathering, from what I heard, an interview between Kwame Sifaka and
Mr. Bampo,
government appointees. I mean, they have even written to GLOGSAG, but GLOGSAG was denying they have not had any correspondence at all, and that is something they are not being truthful to.
I hear you. Well, I will leave it here. Alhaji Abdul Momin Isa is the Metropolitan Chief Executive Secretary, Takoradi Metropolitan Assembly, joining us here from Takoradi. Thank you so much for your time, sir.
Thank you
for
having me.
We'll go on to the other phone line and speak with Labour and Alternative Dispute Resolution Consultant, Mr. Austin Gami of Gami & Gami. Chief, good morning.
Morning, my brother. How are you?
I am learning from you, sir. How are you?
Appreciatively yours.
Great.
Okay.
Great. This morning, I mean, we woke up yesterday and GLOGSAG has gone on strike, and they are raising the issues that they agreed with government. They have not been giving their monies. First of all, do they have a legitimate claim?
Well, thank you. As a matter of fact, when you enter into an agreement with someone to deliver goods to you or to provide you services, and that agreement has been signed onto, and you renege on it or dishonor the agreement, I have every bit of right to feel angry and express it in any way possible, except that it has to be done appropriately. So yes, GLOGSAG has a legitimate case. It appears the employer has been dishonorable in going by the agreements that have been reached by the two sides regarding salary structure and related matters.
I see.
So yes, they have an issue.
Now, we're learning from our labor correspondents that the leadership of GLOGSAG have switched off their phones. Yesterday, the National Labor Commission tried to reach out to them to get them into a meeting with the minister and other key stakeholders like the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission, but it was to no avail. Why would the National Labor Commission not impress upon government to fulfill its part of the bargain, specifically perform, rather than asking for GLOGSAG to come back to the table? Why?
Well, two sides of the coin. You know, every coin has two sides.
That's right.
And the first part of the coin is that it's an employer, it's affecting an employer, which is government. And the other side is about GLOGSAG, who are the beneficiaries of that agreement. Yes, Labor Commission can be a bit can be forceful by way of punching the employer that, look, you have written an agreement with somebody. Go and honor the agreement. They can do that. But it's only proper that maybe they reach out to the other party or to the present, so that when they do it, they will remain impartial. I think that's where they are coming from. But GLOGSAG, in making the announcement to the public, did say, among other things, that they were going to lock their doors and they were not going to be present. So it's possible that might be the reason why they are not reaching them, because they have to switch off, and they did. So I think that's just about that portion. But the legitimate thing to do by the Labour Commission is to try and bring the two sides together. Say, why are you not implementing the agreement you have reached? And the other party, to him also, like GLOGSAG, why didn't you come back to me to tell me this? So. I think that we have to do things properly in this country. The proactivity aspect of the Labour Act, even without a law, we have to be proactive. That aspect appears to be a major worry in this country. By independent bodies who are supposed to be very proactive in every matter. So I'm hoping that we are learning lessons, and in the future we will not repeat the same mistake again.
This strike by GLOGSAG definitely will bite. I mean, you are the labor guru here. People are stranded already just after 2 days. If it goes beyond a week, maybe into the second week, what are we to expect? How much would we lose as a country, for example?
Oh, enough. A lot. But you see, the problem is this. It appears we don't have leadership in this country. If you are going to enter into agreement since 2022, January, with no less a body than GLOGSAG, which has huge membership, not less than 60,000 people. Did you cost what you were signing on to? Did you cost it? I can tell you from where I sit, they never costed it. They never costed it. They just signed it in the hope that it will be like this and it will pass. It's not everything that can pass, you know. And I think government may be requiring between 6 to 7 billion to implement what they have signed on to. When they saw that this is what it is, now they are reneging. That's where the pain is. From my own casual calculation, this is the consequence. And how much money do they have? the money they collected from IMF will not even be up to it. So the money we are collecting, it appears, will not be used for anything that will bring return. It will just be for consumption. Recognizing that they need more money to splash around on maybe things like Agenda 111 and related matters, they will prefer to pass that money on to that than to give it to COSAG. Not forgetting that they can take an action like they are taking now, and the consequences are very obvious. So they have to think twice. In the future, whichever government will come into force, should never enter into any agreement conclusively without costing it, and that's the consequence we have now.
SITAG is on strike. In fact, they went on strike way ahead of GLOGSAG. We're also learning that if we don't take care, UTAG may join because their book and research allowance and some other allowances that they agreed with government have not come. Do you think that the labor unions are being fair to government and the system, knowing that we are in a hole and we are begging the IMF to support us, so they might as well bite the bullet along? Do you think they are being fair?
Well, it appears government forget that they are working too hard. Indeed more, but principally two. They are government in ensuring that political activities are undertaken in the country through parliament. And when they are planning that to go to parliament, nobody is with them because they don't obey the directive principles of state policy, Article 36, that enjoins them to 3611, that enjoins them to ensure that they make workers participate in decision-making process. And to get the workers to participate in decision-making process, they have elected their leaders, like GLOGSAG, like unions, like UTAG, and so on and so on. And if you don't involve them, which is part of our, bad practices in Ghana, inclusivity is completely missing in our dictionary. We don't involve people in decision making. It's either it is a partisan, parochial kind of arrangement, but they forgot that they are an employer also. That's the two hats I meant. You are a government in determining your partisan political matters.
Right.
But when it comes to decision making at the workplace, you are an employer principally, and therefore you must avail yourself as equal stakeholders, as equal stakeholders, as equal social partners at the table when it comes to negotiation and implementation processes. Which one government appears to be still continuing as though they are a government. But at this material point in time, they are an employer and not a government in that sense. They forgot that. And so COSAG and the rest of them will hold them to the fire to ensure that they implement agreement that they both reach, because COSAG also has a constituency. They have 60,000 people who are their constituents, and they have an obligation to be accountable to their constituency.
Right.
Just as they are also accountable for their actions.
Right.
So clearly, government must know that and honor their obligations. Otherwise, they'll be laughing at their own side of their mouth.
GLOGSAG has its phones off. Would you tell them to put it on, sir?
Say it again.
The leadership of GLOGSAG, they have switched off their phones. We're told that they are not reachable. Would you advise them to put their phones back on?
Yes, I will, because they need to respond properly to any form of misjudgment or miscalculation or misdeeds on the part of the one side of the relationship. So they should put it on. They can also go to the Labour Commission and make their views known and state clearly, among other things, to the public, which is also their customers. The public are the customers of COSAG also. So it is in their interest to put it on and make their views clearly understood by the public that this is the reason why they are doing A, B, C, D. And should the employer respond positively, why not? They'll be back to their table to do their work. So I will urge them to put it on.
Mr. Ngami, thank you very much indeed for your time. He is a labor and alternative dispute resolution consultant with Gami and Gami, and he joined us here with his nuggets of wisdom.
3FM Sunrise.